All right, so the Holiday Hoops Classic coming up Sunday. We begin at 1 after the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show. The marquee matchup that will end the day, it's Lincoln Park and Montour. Look, I know you don't like to have a season like this, coming off the win against Hopewell, but maybe people will understand the run that you've been on. We're going to talk about this new incredible center that's going to be built soon, right across the street here on Midland Avenue. But what are you feeling like right now? Because this isn't a typical season for you.
It is not. Generally, we're very lucky in how kids come here. That when seniors graduate, even if it's a large group of seniors, there is a backup group of 2 juniors, couple sophomores, 2 or 3 freshmen, and because of circumstances, 2 of our juniors go to places where they're going to make some money.
Name, image, and likeness, right?
Yep. So that was something that is new to basketball. So we weren't prepared for that.
Is it really new, Coach?
Well, it's now legal to basketball. That's it. So,
right.
It's been going on for a long time.
I'm going to do the full circle thing with you here to put this in perspective. Why there's been a great coach here coaching these teams to victory. It has nothing to do with it being a school of performing arts. I'm going to explain all of that, but I want you to finish your thought process.
So we have kids that come here for the school, and it's not a recruiting part. The kids want the opportunity to play under this unbelievable banner of what we do. I mean, we've been so successful and great education, but it is what it is. You want to come and be part of something that is one of the better programs in the state in recent history. So I'm fortunate enough to be head of that. But these guys, the whole group that left and the 2 that left, and we lost a couple freshmen that went somewhere else, going to be sophomores and juniors. So this whole 7 kids that come in as a freshman, 6 months ago were playing junior high basketball, or 14 years old, and they are required to carry the mantra of Lincoln Park. And
it's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight to carry. And when you think about it, they're not getting the opportunity to learn from upperclassmen. They're not getting the opportunity to develop physically. It's like when you go to college, you're a freshman, you're 18 years old, there's 23, 24, and 25-year-old kids. It's tough. So these guys are playing against 17 and 18-year-old men, and I'm giving them all the credit in the world. They're hanging in there. We knew it would be a tough year. We knew we have the talent. It's just we have the size. We don't have the girth. And the senior-laden teams will give us problems throughout the years. There's a but to that. What goes around comes around. You know what I mean? So another year is going to be a little bit better. And in 2 years, we'll be back to who we are.
All right, so let me talk to you about my thought process, because I'm always going to come to the defense of Lincoln Park, because I was here earlier today promoting the Nutcracker. I'm back here again tonight. I'm on my way to East Liverpool to interview Cade Reynolds. Now, you have to understand something. Cade knew going in that you were down this year.
Right.
But to give people an understanding what this program does, even when you lose for other programs, that was a giant boost for his first year.
Absolutely.
He was the first to say it. Rob, this does wonders for my team, my program, this school. Because when you play Lincoln Park, good, bad, indifferent, win, lose, or draw, it puts you on the basketball map. You're the signature matchup in our Holiday Hoops Classic. I was talking to Coach Petcash, Ambridge Roots, 1984, talking about the end of the manufacturing, the mill era with American Bridge and all that power, J&L across the Ohio River. I was talking about Mike Smianik going into the Beaver County Hall of Fame, the only to win state championship in basketball and football. Watching Darrell Rivas down here calling a play-by-play game when Aliquippa came to play Midland. Listen, the mills were booming. Kids were moving from one place to another. Mike Ditka left Carnegie to come because his dad got a job at the mill in Aliquippa.
Right.
A Pratt without an E on the end of his name ended up in Aliquippa. So this stuff has been going on forever. But no matter who you bring in, somebody's got to coach them. And you have done incredibly well coaching, being the athletic director here. So it's not just those performing on the stage in the Black Box Theater. It's those that are performing here in the Eddie Olkowski gym, soon to be this incredible event center across the street. So you have to either agree or disagree, and it's okay if you don't agree, but it all comes down to clock management, the time you have them, and how you coach them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do, but the old saying, you can't make a chicken soup out of chicken poop. So
I know.
The kids nowadays, when we were young, you played football, basketball, and baseball, and then you played all three in the summer. Now kids are very specific to their sport. So, the kids that play at our level, at the high level, they're looking for that exposure. They're looking for that state and national ranking. We try to get them there, but it's not as easy as you think trying to put all that talent together and getting it to play together and to achieve the things that we've achieved.
Especially when those are the outside noise now.
They're getting pulled everywhere. I mean, Malik Thomas, great player, always under the assumption that he was staying. Went to a place which he asked me about it. Better for him. Got money for him to go there. Rakai Lum, another one. Better place for him. A little bit of financial security.
Where it all comes out in the wash. And I was beaming the other day. Brandon Cummings, freshman, drops in 30 for Pitt. It was like somebody just opened J&L again. Yeah. And I could see the smokestacks across Midland Avenue at Crucible when we had all of these great players that were playing here. Speaking of girth, George Green, 60 years ago, Slappy, and of course, Simi Hill, that legendary 65 team beating Stilton Highspire. Times changed, but things do remain the same. But back then, they had to coach that talent that could have went anywhere. Right. You have to coach this talent. And coaching is what has brought you this recognition. And because of what you have all done here, and there are a lot of moving parts, this community is once again the basketball capital of Pennsylvania.
Funny thing, I appreciate that. When you talked about Brandon Cummings, Beaver Cummings the other night, what's better than that?
His brother interviewing him.
A little icing on the cake. After it, 2 Lincoln Park graduates sitting there, 2,000-point scorers, 2 all-state players on camera, national TV on the ACC network, getting interviewed. Yeah, that made me excited about
So let me just say this. Why I love Lincoln Park. That was started many years ago by the father of cyber education, my friend Nick Trombetta, and is now being carried on by so many other people in the public school district here, Sean Tanner, and what we're doing here, names like Chris Shovlin, and it goes on. Jennifer, I was with her earlier today, Verba, the choreographer of the Nutcracker. She's been here since 2006, since the inception. Let me just say this. If I'm a young athlete, what's the national progression after I play my sport? I want to be a broadcaster. So if there was ever a reason to come to this school, forget basketball. That's a good thing. But if you've ever thought about becoming a broadcaster after your playing days, or maybe taking that leap of faith from the high school court, the college court, right into broadcasting, is there not a better example?
We have someone, Lil Pawness, who works here, works for the Steelers, the Pirates, and the Penguins. So you're going to learn off of a professional that does that for a living and teaches here. So, Nelly, his aspirations were to continue playing professional basketball, and he might not be done with that.
Okay.
It just might be a little hiatus. But he was so articulate. He's so well-spoken. And so is his brother. They are, when they were here, A students, honor students, National Honor Society students, and all-state basketball players.
You realize, as much as it may be painful with this underclassmen thing you've got going, in the long run, it may really build a better foundation for the future, seeing these players growing together as one and maybe having that cohesive unit to where they want to finish together, and it becomes commonplace, class after class after class, coming up young, wanting to be a family and seeing the thing through.
I think you're right, because our 8th grade team is really good. Really good. So, we are going to, these kids will be 10th graders, bigger, stronger, better. Then the 9th graders will learn from the 10th graders. And the 7th graders aren't bad either. So, and the 6th graders from the Midland team. So that is our plan right now. When these kids are juniors and sophomores and juniors, hopefully we'll be playing across the street in the new.
Talk about this thing that is going to be absolutely picturesque, a showpiece. If I'm a team, an athletic director, I'm wanting you on the schedule, no matter how tough it's going to be. I want to play there.
It's, when we first started going into it, how we were going to build this and what it was going to look like. It's an event center, and that's what it's going to be. I got to be really involved in how it's going to be. So we're going to have our own athletic wellness center. We're going to have, a state-of-the-art wellness center. We're going to have an AV room where not only we can watch film and kids can learn, our sports media department will also conduct classes. 4 locker rooms. I found down at Marshall were the most beautiful varsity locker rooms I've ever seen.
You mean Marshall as in
Marshall University, yes.
The home of Randy Moss.
Yes,
Godspeed, Randy. We love you.
So that's what our locker rooms are going to be. Boys and girls are going to be a mirror image of the Marshall locker rooms. 2,000-seat arena, going to be a college court, multimedia, scoreboards, and then classrooms. We're going to have 5 classrooms for our health major. The ability for our kids to perform at the highest level. 1 court, main court, and then behind the bleachers, when you push them back, you're going to have another course to play there.
I got to just finish on Randy Moss. Been talking a lot about him on the radio. He went to Marshall University. Somehow, some way, Notre Dame didn't get him. Maybe they should have, but the bottom line is not only was he a great football player, but he's also recovering and looks like he's going to be okay after recent cancer surgery. I absolutely love him. The most gifted wide receiver, I believe, ever to play the game. But they said he was a tremendous basketball player.
He was an unbelievable basketball player. He was, before there were these videos and the high flyers and all that, that's the kind of player he was. There's not a lot of guys that played back then, their game can translate to what they do now. Randy Moss would fit right in with the way these kids play now.
Before we finish up and just talk about this season, just a couple of other things that have come up on this conversation I'd like to get your thoughts on. So I kind of reached out to a Pitt coach to try to see if we could get a young man who's got Midland roots a look. He's playing football in Beaver. So we were talking, and I was talking to Bill Chirpek, longtime coach Thomas Jefferson. And I said, what do I need to do? He said, what I used to do with guys like Tom Bradley and the Sinceri family and what have you, just say, hey, take a look. I think it might be worth your while. He said the game in college, because of the portal, has changed so much. They don't recruit like they used to.
Oh, heck no.
So then he said, and this is Bill Chirpek, legendary coach, Mount Rushmore of this generation football coach. He said, social media, you got to get your name out there. You got to get your likeness out there, and you got to do any kind of splash play you can after you do something on the court, the field, whatever. Somehow, some way, you got to get it up in cyberspace. And that's another thing that this school is famous for.
So we have social media guys that come out and film our games, and they put, look, Moon beat our butt the other night. But after that game, the splash plays that we had were all over social media for some of our young kids. And we understand that. We understand that's how it works now. That, the game for high school kids they're at a disadvantage to go to college. Because if I'm a college coach, do I want to go and see a kid, basketball-wise, that was scoring 18 a game out at Eastern Kentucky, or do I want a kid that scored 25 a game playing against high school kids? So, your rationale is that thank God what happened next year, college scholarships are going to 15. So it was 12. So Division I teams could carry 15 guys because the NCAA, a little bit late, finally recognized these high school kids are at a disadvantage. And I believe they're going to put a cap on how many portal guys you can have. It's in the works, but they're going to have, most colleges are going to have to take 3 high school kids. So that'll help with the recruiting of high school kids. But absolutely, it is social media. If you are not playing AAU, if you are not on social media everywhere, college coaches no longer travel to one school at a time, except if you're Lincoln Park in this state. We still have college coaches.
Well, listen, Calipari's been in this room.
Calipari sat right there at least 6 or 7
I knew
times.
that something felt good about this chair.
Yeah.
But how do you think he's going to do in Arkansas?
He's going to do great.
I know. Don't you love it?
Great, man. He is. He's electric. Be the guy. He is. He's a generational player. I don't know if he's one and done. I think he's close to being one and done. But either one and done or two and done, he's going to be a lottery pick.
Think about Glen Willard, that little place between Moon Township, Aliquippa, Ambridge, on the banks of the Ohio River. Calipari and John Miller.
Right.
I mean, the Blackhawk coach, of course, Sean Miller, Archie Miller. I mean, think about that. And this team, 60 years ago, their coach, that moment, those players, Simi Hill, Norm Van Leer, long before Michael Jordan goes to Chicago, you got this defensive lockdown player who becomes a broadcaster after. I mean, it's crazy.
So somebody asked me a few weeks ago, do you think your last year's team could have competed with
that team?
And I said, I think we might have been able to get them, but I don't think we're beating the Ambridge 67 team.
Listen, well, I asked Ted Cash yesterday, 84 graduate of Ambridge, and he went Weisick, Kaufman.
Yeah,
I mean, why is that? Because I don't know much about them, but how can you say they could compete with that 60? What were they? Were they good at shooting the basketball?
Ambridge.
Yeah, what were they good
at?
They
had a little bit. That is 7-footer that can rebound.
Who
the
was
basketball.
that?
Kaufman went to Purdue.
I don't know.
Absolute animal. You had on the board 7 foot. Was Pennsylvania state high jump champion. Went to Purdue and was a high jumper. You had Dennis Weisick, who was 6'5", 6'6", went to North Carolina.
Woo!
I saw him playing, I think it was Midland at the time, because I was 8 years old, and it was not Midland. He went for a dunk, and the guy went to draw a charge, and he spread his legs and dunked on him in the pit. So and he could shoot it from the outside. Dick DeVinzio went to Duke. And the ancillary guys, Ostrowski was a 6'4", shooter, track guy, threw the javelin. And the fifth was Phil DePasquale, another ball handler, another shooter. And that was before three-point shooting. On the other end, I would have liked that matchup with those two. For us to play that, I don't know if we could competed with the size. Now, playing Midland, Simi Hill would have controlled what we do. But the other guys, I think we could have matched up a little bit with them.
Let me just say this. So you're telling me you bring that 67 team, even the 65 Midland team, put them on the floor here today, they're going to win more than they lose. Forget about, athletes, bigger, stronger,
right
faster.
Now, win more than they're going to lose. I don't know who beats either of those teams right now. Right now. Absolutely.
You know, it would be nice to do something for your wonderful school here because they've got the brain trust to get it done. Remember when they did the Marciano Ali computerized fight? They should do a computerized version of the statistics, AI, whatever you need to do. 67 Ambridge, 65 Midland. People would pay.
Absolutely, people
to watch that.
Mark McCulloch, Ambridge guy, longtime Ambridge guy. He's walking through a yard sale last month, and he saw somebody had this thing made up of all the scores in the lineup. It was a board with all the games of the Ambridge game of 67. And the guy was selling it for $30. And he said, I went to buy it. And some guy next to him bid. He said, I ended up paying $75 for it. It was a bidding roll. It's down in my wall in the basement. He's supposed to send me a picture of that. But, for all of us, the Midland team, the Monaca teams, the Ambridge team, second best team in the state in 67 was Aliquippa. That's the only tough games that Ambridge had. The Aliquippas, everyone believes. We all believe.
But how did three NBA players come out of the town that I live in, Monaca? Billy Zoff, Mickey, and Brad Davis. How is that? That doesn't even make sense to me. The population at the height was like 8,000. Three NBA players.
But, the kids now are going to get that specialized training. That's what they're doing. Back then, when we were in school, a couple of those guys are a little older than me. We were at the Monaca courts. We were at the center courts, with the Aliquippa courts, with the Ambridge courts, at the Midland courts, getting bloody and getting tougher on the
talked about Anthony Wayne.
Getting bloody at Liberty School. And, that made you tougher. And you would go and compete. You were able to go and compete with these big city guys because the way you competed was equal to the way they competed. And it made you tougher. And Monaca was one of the toughest players during the Mill era in Beaver County. It'd be a tough dude to live from Monaca.
Here's what
walk into Celeste Bar, they didn't know you.
Listen, what worries me about you, I don't want you to retire because you've given us all a chance to have one more swing at the plate, just to go back Midland Avenue one more time. And with the thoughts of this event center, look, it's all about economic impact. I get that. But it's also what's good for the soul that makes people want to get up in the morning. And this type of stuff makes me want to get up in the morning.
I'm not going anywhere for a while.
Good.
Because I want to coach over there. I really want to coach over there. And I don't know how long. I still have the energy of a 25-year-old, even though, I'm in my 60s. I still have that energy. I still have a passion for these kids to get these kids better because I owe them something. This group of kids, I owe something. I owe them to get them in the path to where the teams the last 2 years were. Look, when these guys were all freshmen last year, we didn't win a state championship. We took our lumps. We did. And then we got better and wanted to whip you the next year. Then we took a little bit more lumps. Then we got really, really good because they believed and were convinced and bought into everything we're going to do, like this group of guys are. Look, you can't teach 6'8" and 15 years old. You can't teach 6'6" and 15 years old. You can't teach that. You just got to get them. Be patient. Was I happy the other night? No, but I'm patient. I've always been I'll be patient. And I said it earlier in the interview, what goes around comes around.
Isn't this Holiday Hoops Classic kind of cool, though?
Oh, it's great. We loved it last year. Funny part about that, I said, man, it's going to be cold there. So I wore this big sweater and stuff, this Linga Park sweater. I get down, of course, I thought I was going to die. It was so hot down there, but it was fun. It's great for the Pittsburgh. It is. I just hope this year they embrace it more. You get there, it's on TV. You can stream it. You can watch it on KDK.
It's on K radio.
Yeah, or you can come and watch it. I mean, if you buy your tickets at the school, it's $10. If you buy them there, it's $20. But for $20, you're going to see some great basketball. The hoopla, every kid, we had a media day. So when you get introduced, it's like the NCAA finals. That big screen's going to be going crazy.
All on the radio from 1 o'clock after the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show to his game against Montour at 5. So I'm going to leave you with this, why I just love talking to people like you. Look, you're talking to a guy who was on Center Avenue one day and looked up. I was in a traffic jam. I was out in front of Fifth Avenue. I literally had to pull over. I was so overcome with emotion. I think about Shenley and Lucas and all those great games and Jerome Lane. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But I also think about if anybody actually had the chance, I was never fortunate, but a friend, Pat DeCesar of DeCesar Ingram for many years, and his high school buddy, Trafford, Pennsylvania, Sonny Vaccaro, who I actually had on the radio because I still have his number. We were just talking about the whole round ball as it started. They wanted to take it to McKeesport. And Pat, the promoter, said, we're going to the arena. And he said, and Sonny said, they're not going to listen to us. He said, I just brought them the Beatles. They're going to listen to us. But that leap of faith, they did it. They sold it out. 20,000 people. I still believe Western Pennsylvania, even though, and thank goodness for people like you, we still have those sprinkles of D1 players that we get to watch on that national stage, and people like Calipari come here. We are still a great place for high school basketball. And it's still, in my opinion, when you look at everything happening in the world of sports, any time of year, to be in a gym, elbow to elbow, fans, foes, whatever, there's nothing like that time watching those young men and women on that court.
I talk to these kids about their legacies and how it's going to be when they're my age. And I talk to all my guys that play with me, and I think 95% of the guys who play for me are still very loyal to us and are so happy that they went here. And I make a promise to guys, and this is something I don't know how many people know. 3 assistants this year. One was last year. For kids that all played for me. And all 3 of them, Ryan Skavenka was an all-state player. Got a state championship. Isaiah Smith, Pennsylvania Player of the Year. Got a state championship. College graduates. Skavenka, Robert, Division I player. Isaiah Smith, Division II player, and Johnny Bryant, a Division III player. State championship. So they all got a little bit of that. They all got a little bit of a taste. And and I promised them, get a college degree, come back here, I'll give you a job.
So we got to give them a little love. What do you think of that young Cade Reynolds down there in East Liverpool?
So I will tell him, I shook his hand and I said, we got to do this every year. I love it.
We appreciate it.
I'll come to you, you come to us, whatever. We'll do it every year. I mean, we were up 25 at halftime.
I know.
He didn't give up. And that's our youth shown. We're in the locker room and the guys are, the game's not over and the game's not over. You could say that as many times as you want, but they're young and they came out, kind of PP'd themselves, and the senior laden team got on the roll, and I give him all the credit in the world. I told him that, and he thanked me after the game because you don't know what this does for your program. Then I read in the paper the next day, East Liverpool beats perennial Pennsylvania Power Linga Park. I said, well, I appreciate that compliment, but damn.
I know. Yeah. But listen, my heart is here because it is Pennsylvania. But when you do play-by-play someplace for 20 years, and I've done thousands of free videos since 2010 because I just love to promote, you have to understand that's a special matchup for me. And calling those games back in the day here, being in this setting, still coming here, but I'm all about the present and moving into the future. And what's about to happen here with this event center? It is going to be explosive. It's going to be wonderful.
You know what, Rob? What we're going to do the first game you're going to be there sitting at the table calling the game, and maybe we have it live somewhere on some TV, stream, or radio. But I promise you're going to be. Hopefully, you and I are still around to do that. You know,
here, but let me just say, well, this is me talking, not you, not anyone else. Nobody's chirping in my ear. Midland, as it was when I broke into this business, everything that was good in Beaver County went through here with that commissioner chair, Eli Korak, Danny Donatella, and others. They always use this as a launching pad to help everyone. You've got an incredible mayor. This is my opinion. I'm not asking anything out of you. Pubby Atkins.
I love Pubby.
Sean Tanner, who I've known forever. My children's mother taught in this school system. And yeah, PK Pollings and so many other people. I am a part of their lives because they've been a part of my life. Please, I'm begging you, Nick Raval, St. Anthony Club, I'm telling you, don't screw this up because we need you now more than ever to be that lamp, that lighthouse that we can all simply look into the light and know the future is bright. And there's a lot of exciting things happening in this community, and it's because of PA Cyber. It's because of Lincoln Park. It's because of the people I mentioned, and I'm going to say it again. If it wasn't for the father of cyber education, Nick Trombetta, doing what he did, none of this would be here today. So let's not screw it up. Let's enjoy it and embrace each other because it is that season, but more importantly, not just during this month, but throughout the calendar year. And you have to admit, for a couple of baby boomers at this stage, it's nice to have things to get excited about.
It is. It is. Yeah. This is a great place to be around this time. It's always a great place. Every time I come in here, I get excited.
But listen, if you're going to get this team, get them now because they're going to get a whole lot better. Believe me. He's even made me better doing this.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget, much more still to come. We are headed to Ohio to get caught up with Cade Reynolds. They actually lost their first game of the year. We'll get the latest on that and preview what lies ahead. It's your Pratt Pack here at Lincoln Park. Absolutely love and respect everybody in this great community. And don't forget, Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show each and every week at 11 a.m. And there's always more sports at 93.7thefan.com.